Good afternoon, morning, whatever time you're listening to this. It's another episode of the We Serve podcast. I think we need to. Okay, I'm going to pitch something to our viewers right quick, Nigel, because I want them to give us a catchphrase in the beginning, because the "Welcome to the We Serve" podcast is getting kind of old. So I want them to give us a little bit of a catchphrase. So to you, those of you who are listening and watching, please send us something. Interact with us on the social media. What would you like us to hear us say in the beginning? But for now, welcome to the We Serve podcast. I'm your host, Kwame Labassiere, and with me
is your co-host, dual host, Nigel Lewis.
Dual host. And we have today as our guests, I'm sure many of you know them, but for those of you who do not know them, we have Autumn Kitchens and Farmata Dia. Together, they are the Salty Sisters. Welcome, ladies.
What are we doing here?
Oh, should we just go?
Yeah.
Okay, hey guys.
Hi.
Welcome to Tea Time with Salty Sisters. Tea Time. Salty Sisters. Tea Time. Salty Sisters. Tea Time. Salty Sisters. Tea Time. Salty Sisters. Tea Time, Salty Sisters. Hi. Thanks for welcome.
We've been trying to get you on the show for a bit, but then as we explained in our last episode, there was a little bit back and forth, and we stopped doing the show for a bit. But Farmata, you were actually our first guest, not one of our first, but our first guest. So welcome back.
Thank you. You guys have upgraded. I'm liking this.
Well, yeah, I cut my hair and I shaved and everything because we're being recorded now, so I have to shave and make myself look good.
No,
but
I felt that.
No, thank you for coming, and
That's
Autumn,
true.
thank you for coming on.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, I was actually listening to the relaunch episode, and it sent me down the rabbit hole of going through the past episodes. And then I look, I was like, holy crap, Farmy was the first. And then I listened to that episode, and it was really good. So I'm really happy that you're back on with us, and we could hear what you've been up to, what you guys as a duo have been up to. I'm really excited for this episode.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. They heard me refer to you as the Salty Sisters. So tell us, what's that about? Talk to us. Inquiring minds want to know.
We were supposed to have a meeting on Thursday. Salty Sisters is something like we're doing, a project that we're coming together in, basically creating community for specifically women of color, centered around like our love for the ocean, our love for surfing, and really using it as a way to create safe space, including wellness into that. But really I think still, no matter how much representation has been out there so far, Black women surfing is taboo still, or people don't expect it, but there's so many of us out there, and I think we're both really passionate about bringing us all together.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing about Rockaway, it's there's so many of us, but there's not enough times where we get to gather together often enough, especially during the winter. There's a lot of disconnect in the surfing community, so this is just a good way to keep all of us connected, stay talking to each other, and just have a safe space, people that you can lean on or go to the water with, people that you feel safe with in the water, outside the water. And it's not just about surfing, it's really about the
sisterhood.
Yeah,
and
because that's what it's based off.
Yeah, it's based off our journey in sisterhood. It started no, we did not expect to be full on sisters. We both know that throughout this life we're gonna be here.
Hello.
But I will say something about our first meetup, right? There were one or two people from Rockaway, and most of the women were actually from Brooklyn or the city. And we realized there's so many people looking for connection, literally begging for it, especially Black women who maybe feel outside of what society puts out as a typical Black woman to be. And so that was really cool.
Yeah.
Right?
For the outsiders. That's what I'm studying
For
in my
the
English class.
Oh,
That's our theme.
Barbie's
She's back in school.
I'm so excited. I'm like, what are we learning today?
No, literally every day.
Well, congratulations,
What's our
Farmy.
homework?
Congratulations on that. Along those lines, so I pulled up a quote from David Mesfin. We all know David Mesfin. He's the director of Wade in the Water. And I pulled up a quote from him, which was actually published in Travel and Leisure this past week. And it says, his quote was, "There are layers. There are white surfers who can surf anywhere. There are black surfers who have to be careful about where they surf. And then there are black women surfers, and they have it the hardest." So it's just really interesting to me that just this week, this was published in Time and Leisure. And you're speaking about, of course, specifically about California, but then we already had you guys set up to come in to speak about this. And so it just seemed very kismet that at this point. So, can you speak a little bit about that, about what the experience is like because, I can only look at it from the perspective of a male black surfer, or even a West Indian male black surfer who lives in America. So, but I can never even try to understand what it would be like to be a female black surfer and trying to be out there, not just in Rockaway, but just trying to surf the US on a whole.
Yeah. I'd say for like a non-surfer to understand, the best way to compare it is like a black person in a new career setting. So like a black pilot or like a black person in politics. They have to prove themselves so much more than any other person in that room because they're the black one. And even after all the hard work they've done, because they work twice as much as the white people in the room, they're still doubted and questioned. And that's pretty much how it feels in the water. Like, I always say, like, anytime we do an interview or anything, when we travel somewhere, like, my first wave matters so much to me because it's gonna call the rest of my session. And that's why, like, sometimes, like, I don't even pay attention to where I'm surfing. I just go and I'm like, I need to catch a wave, get up right now. It doesn't matter if I wipe out, if I do this or that. These people need to know I can surf. Do not jump in on me. Do not doubt me because I am no better than a man, is what I always say. I will paddle battle you. I will do whatever you do, just right back to you. But that's how I deal with it, I guess.
That's such an interesting point of view. And I hadn't really thought about it like that, but it is so true. And I remember, and I've experienced this traveling and doing that, and I didn't understand it until you articulated it perfectly, where you do have to prove that you can hold your own. And I mean, maybe it's blackness, maybe if we want to play a little fair, it's being new to a spot or something, but I don't think it's that. I think it's that, and I've experienced this, and I'm not sure if you guys, they don't expect you to know what you're doing.
No.
And I mean, I've had this experience at Huntington Beach, I've had it at a couple places, but I remember, you're right, you do start to kind of think, okay, I can't fall. I got to be good, and I got to look really good doing it because they need to respect me out here. And what you said is such like a bigger can of worms for what America is becoming now, right? Like the whole DI thing, which is an interesting conversation in itself. But having to like overprove yourself, and I know I did as a man. I couldn't imagine it as a woman and a black woman in something that is predominantly not your career type, which is another good way to articulate it. So I appreciate that. It kind of hit home for me right there when you said it. Yeah.
Yeah, and even outside of that, it's like also your safety. Like I started traveling for surf on my own at first, and just the thought of like, okay, how are they perceiving me in the water? When I leave, am I safe? When I come, am I safe? Just like all of those things. Even going to the airport, I've had so many like weird interactions with men or just those things. And then like even as a child, like in Rockaway, I experienced that. People telling me, you're in the wrong spot, you're on the wrong board, what are you doing out here? New people who have never surfed or like they're surfing a month in. And I'm like, I've been here for years.
The worst.
What are you talking about? But I'm like a teenager, like 16, and I'm anxious, I have insecurity, all of those things. Like, how do you deal with that? And then you take that, like you take on those experiences with you when you go to Nicaragua, when you go to Bali. Like it's challenging.
Yeah, it's funny that, so as you guys are speaking about that, I'm remembering this trip I took to Morocco, and that's the only place where it was the exact opposite. Because I paddled out and I was expecting it. I was like, okay, I need to prove myself. I need to make sure, okay, don't mess up. I'm paddling out and I'm sitting down waiting. And then somebody paddled past me, one of the locals, he paddled past me, and he did something which was like one of the strangest things. He head nodded me before I head nodded him. So, usually when you're paddling out, you sit down the lineup and you're looking at people, you're sizing people up, and you give them, the head nod. You're like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm going to catch your wave, but I'm not going to be in your way type of deal.
Yeah.
But this guy paddled straight past me, looked at me, and just gave me the, what's up? I just kept going. I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then at that point, but I was just so accustomed to having to paddle out
Right.
and, prove that, yes, I belong here. Yes, I can serve. Yes, I may not look the way you look. I may not act the way you act. I may not speak the way you speak, but I belong here as well. But so it was just really, really weird at that point. But
yeah, I love that.
You know what's now that I'm kind of hearing this conversation, I mean, here's a good question, right? Is it predominantly, and I'm sure there's some European countries that may happen in, is it predominantly an American thing?
100%.
Yes.
Because think about this, when I go back home, 90%
normal.
of the people in the water are Black, right? When you travel to places, even when you go to Puerto Rico, like it's a mix, like it is something, and it plays into something so much deeper. And I kind of keep saying this, that is the undertone that I think now is really being kind of like exacerbated because of the place we are at now, of the foundation of what this country was kind of like built on, right?
Yeah.
That when you, because you said that, and it made me think, but wait, when I'm in Puerto Rico, like I don't feel out of place. When I travel to different Caribbean islands, I don't necessarily feel out of place. I only feel out of place, I don't care if it's Florida or West Coast or North. And I'm not saying there aren't people that are welcoming, but it's definitely very obvious that you feel like you don't belong. And I, thinking about it now, it probably has a lot to do with just kind of how we were kind of developed or not developed in this country, and having access to do things that for some people were normal. And for us, again, Black man, Black woman, it just is interesting. Sorry, you guys got me thinking about this a little bit.
No.
But
deeper,
even
yeah.
European countries, like we went to Bali and like
Yeah.
We were weird.
there it wasn't necessarily like American white men, but it was like I don't even know where those people were from.
They were Australian.
They were all
okay.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it was heavy. It was heavy in that vibe of like, oh, that's the place where
Pandawa.
Pendawa,
The
where
week
they
after
beat.
we left,
Yes, I
the
remember.
person got attacked.
Yeah, so
A woman!
So for those of
Yes.
you who don't know, and you can look this up on YouTube, or we'll put the link in the show notes. There was a situation where a woman paddled out and a man paddled out, and he dropped in on her, and then eventually after a while she got upset, so she took his wave and she just kept going, and she was a great surfer.
Yeah,
But he paddled back out and punched her multiple times while she was in the water. And then when she got out of the water, himself and his friends basically chased her down and were yelling at her, and it was all recorded. And I remember after seeing that, because I knew you guys were in Bali, and I remember reaching out to you.
that wasn't long after we were there.
Yeah, I
We
remember
surfed with
reaching out
that
to you.
guy.
Yeah.
And I asked you, I was like, are you guys okay? Is everything okay with you? Just making sure, not that I could do anything all the way from New York.
Right.
But, if anyone touched one of my peeps, all we had to do was go
sure.
down Rockaway and grab folks, and we heading to Bali. Let's go.
And that's
But-
what I mean, like that safety piece, right? Like you just don't know how these people are going to react. I remember when I was in the water in Rockaway on 73rd,
Mhm.
where I was surfing the first time with a group of women, not even Black women, just women, and that felt empowering and
Mhm.
amazing, liberating. And some like guys on the jetty like felt intimidated
Yeah.
and made a whole thing about it, right?
Yes, I remember
Posting
that as well.
online, like covering our faces with clown emojis, except for mine, calling me a Karen,
Yes.
all of these crazy things.
Wait,
And-
did I miss this? What?
No,
It was when I was pretty
I remember, I
young.
remember
Oh,
that.
okay,
I remember
okay.
this happened pre-pandemic, so
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
like just before the pandemic. But I remember that, and I remember having a conversation with you about that.
Yeah, I got a call. I was
That's
at home
crazy.
after a surf session being like, were you surfing on 73rd? This guy is posting about you. All of this. And so like, that's scary, right? And I've been trying to figure out how to articulate this, like always being the other, always feeling othered. And I've always felt that because of where I grew up and the communities I grew up in. And so it's like, you're always trying to prove yourself. You're always trying to say like, no, I belong here. I have space here. And now I'm kind of in this place where it's like, I don't want to prove anything to you. I just want to have fun. I want to be present. I don't want to have to change my behavior so I can change your perspective of me.
Mhm.
And so you said the first time you experienced where that guy like nodded at you. Those are the experiences in surfing that I want to have.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go to a lineup and like puff my chest for you.
Right.
I want to just surf.
Just want to serve.
Like that's it.
Yeah.
So speaking
Yeah.
about, as we're talking about this, but the way you wanting to feel a certain way in the lineup and making the change in the lineup, the two of you were involved at I'm going to get this correct, the MLK Youth Change Makers, Feeding Our Future, and it was on stage at the Apollo Theater.
Y'all were at the Apollo.
You know? and what kind of got me about it was I found out about it on Instagram. They didn't call
I
nobody.
actually saw it too.
They didn't tell
My family
anybody.
said the same thing.
I found out about it on
I know.
Instagram. I was minding my business. I
Yeah.
just happened to be speaking with Aiden, and he says, "Oh yeah, I got to get to the Apollo." I was like, "Okay, the man got to do what the man got to do." Next thing you know, I'm like scrolling through Instagram. I'm like, "What are you? What?
I know, yeah.
And people can't even tell us they are what they want."
I
So,
know.
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at you, Farmy, because
I'm so
yeah.
sorry, Kwame. Kwame is my sponsor, guys. Pretty much the Apollo invited us out on Inauguration Day, MLK Day, to talk about the different work that we're doing in our communities. And they invited a bunch of different organizations from around New York City, a lot of like youth-led organizations or just like youth-involved organizations. It was beautiful. Like getting to speak was one thing, but hearing what the rest of the girls had to say, especially because like I was thinking about how they were younger than us. They were like 18, 19, and they were having such an impact on their community already that it got them to that place. So I was inspired by them. That was really my favorite part of it. And then like getting to speak at the Apollo with my best friend.
That was really cool. And it was climate focused.
Yeah.
I think, especially in our community, right? Like that isn't a focus for a lot of people. And I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. So the fact that we got to talk about the work that we're doing like for the earth and how we're educating our own community and like making movement within that space is really cool. But like Farmy said, to hear what people are doing, to hear what young people are doing is insane.
Starting mass protests.
Yes.
That's what they were talking about. Mass protests, talking about teaching nutrition in their communities to the kids going to the after school programs. Crazy. Starting like music, advocacy, and NYU. Like it's insane.
Yeah. And we got to talk about the intersection of water and mental health for our community. I mentioned to you about epigenetics and how I'm like really excited
You
about
mentioned
it.
me, and I wasn't even there to stand up and wait for people.
Because I think I'm so excited and passionate about it. But the water has an impact on us in a way that no one understands. And so it's imperative that we take care of the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I mentioned in the last in our last podcast, Nigel and I were talking about winter surfing, and I was saying that as much as I dislike it, because I have yet to meet one person who's like, oh no, I prefer to surf in the winter than prefer to surf in the summer. But all I need is one wave to just get me into a little bit of a better mood or to survive the next week.
Right.
And then I'm in such a much better mood.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do a little bit of a plug here. So go back to one of our older episodes with Dr. Giovanni Martinez, where he actually broke it down to a science why we feel better after not just surfing. Of course, we feel great after surfing, but just being near the water and sitting down on the beach. And Nigel, you and I are from the Caribbean, so when you're sick, what do they tell you?
Go to the beach.
Go to the beach. You have a cold, go take a sea bath.
Yeah, of course.
Your head hurting you,
And it
go dip your head
works.
in the water.
Right.
It works.
And it works. And I don't know if it's the salt water that clears your palate and your nostrils and it feel better, but it probably just has to be that embrace of like going to the ocean. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I go, if it's a trip, and it happens at Rockaway in the summer mostly, but when you first walk into the water, there's something that just kind of overcomes you where it's like, and I'm very intentional about how I'm like feeling about certain things. And I'm very aware of like, I'm walking in, it's almost like an old friend is like, hey, what's up? Welcome back. Like, hey, let me give you a hug. And then you get in and then your back gets wet and then you start paddling and then your head gets wet. And it's just like, it's so familiar. And definitely I've said this many times and it still holds true. It is very difficult for me to be upset and surfing.
Yeah.
Even if I come off the sand upset, and I hit the water, the moment I get that first wave, or I might be paddling out like, but once you get that one, it's always like you'll be all right. Let it chill, So,
If you can surf and catch that wave and still be upset, you're doing it wrong.
yeah. That's why the anger in the water throws me.
It's scary.
Like, I don't understand. Like, do you understand the kind of like hate or this annoying human being you must be to, like, listen, I get it. People dropping on me all the time. Never. I mean, I'll say something to certain people when it becomes dangerous,
Right.
but never am like, I feel the need to walk over and punch you.
No.
Like, it's not that serious
Is that
ever.
happening?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is also, so I have not to you, Farmy, because I think by the time you and I started surfing together, there was already like a crowd of people around us. So, it never would have happened. But I've surfed with you, Autumn, in the past, and actually heard people like say stuff to you.
Yeah.
And, again, speaking from my perspective, I'm like, okay, do I say something?
Right.
Or
Right.
do I let her handle this on her own?
Yeah.
Or do I just sit down near and give them the stink eye to let them know, okay, she's one of us, back off.
Right.
Or does she take this care? So there's like all these things were flying through my head. I mean, you handled it
Yeah.
perfectly, how
Yeah.
you should have done it. But I have seen it happen. So it's anyone who says, oh no, that doesn't happen, I can tell them, no, I've seen it happen completely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not a once in a lifetime thing.
Right.
But I wanted to backtrack a little bit to speaking about like climate change and so on. So it's kind of hard not to make something political nowadays in the US.
Right?
It's a little hard. But as of recent, the push has been done to go back to using plastic straws.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
right.
think from my perspective, I think that's just going to make, just on a whole, the oceans that little bit that more dirty
Yeah.
than they already are. We have one of the things which I do when I paddle out in Rockaway, I have a little bag across my thing. It's like a laundry bag that, if I see some garbage, I'll put it in there. And I would honestly say over the past few years, I've been using it less and less. It's been filled up less and less. But I'm concerned now that, it may go back to the way things were.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
gonna have
with
to
that.
patent that.
So I was wondering, what are your thoughts on it as well? Because I know like both of you are really active within the environmental space.
Yeah. I think the earth is going to take care of it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
Agree.
really unfortunate.
Agreed.
Like what
Agreed.
we're seeing now, we're seeing
100%
floods,
agree.
we're seeing fires, we're seeing earthquakes in places that there shouldn't be or haven't
Yep.
been. And so we can do what
Yep.
we're going to do,
Yep.
but the earth will take care of it and then they'll learn.
Yeah.
And that I hate that
Yeah.
we're at that
No, that's
that
you.
time and
Makes
that
sense.
place
Thoughtful.
because right like it was preventable.
Yeah.
And now we're not there anymore. And so I think we'll also see communities form and they'll have their own agendas, right? Like, oh, we're not going to support the company that's doing that.
Yeah.
We're going to support the company that's using these materials or gives 15% of their profits to this organization. And so you'll see people really like making their dollar count,
Yeah.
but the earth will take care of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty sad because, like you were saying, that was just a preventative anyway.
Right.
It wasn't the real issue at hand. And so, like, I think recycling is a huge thing to stop it from getting worse. But where we are right now, like, there's so much more we need to focus on. And it goes back to the politics. It's not just about, like, picking plastic up and, like, not littering. It's about the fossil fuels and these companies. And they're the ones that are telling us to recycle when they know it doesn't matter. Like, not that it doesn't matter, but the impact is not as much of an impact as it would, like, shutting them down.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, it's cool to, like, the straws and everything is cool, but I really think we should redirect our focus to the main issue at hand. I think people are a little, like, lost right now. We're all very separated. It's very, like, individual. And if we were really to, like, come together, this is what I've been thinking in my head. Like, you're strong as an individual, but you are undefeatable as a unit together. And so that's what we really need during this kind of time. So that's like where I'm trying to keep my head during all this stuff.
One thing I will say, most of the clothes we wear are plastic.
Yeah, they're
and
terrible.
Yeah,
exactly. And so educate ourselves,
Cotton.
like be aware, like, oh, I don't have to buy this plastic shirt from Target. I can go here and buy 100% cotton, something that's going to last me longer and save my dollar anyway.
Yeah.
So these are the things. And, I saw that executive order he signed to like bring back plastic straws, which is like so so whatever, you know, it is what it is. But like we need to just move in a way of like, okay, I am aware that this is an alternative that I can use.
I mean, so first of all, why is that even important?
Hello.
like we're talking about straws. I feel like Alan Iverson. We're talking about straws. Straws.
But everyone uses straws though.
Well, the thing is, because the straws directly affect the price of eggs.
Yeah,
which
probably.
in turn directly will get you more money in your pocket. That's the connection right
So
there.
ridiculous.
Autumn, you said something that I have felt for a very long time, and it's very, very true. And, you know, I grew up in a pretty religious household. So it's just something that I think maybe, at least in the religion I grew up in, was kind of understood. The earth doesn't give a shit. Right? Like we really think that we're gonna like destroy it, you know, and it's like really we're gonna destroy ourselves.
Right.
Right? Because when these hurricanes come through, you think it's like, oh, by the way, it's because you pollute. It's like, no, listen, this is how I react to something that's happening to me, and this is what I do. I'm sorry you're in the way.
Right.
Right? And I think that's what I realize is that people learn, like my grandmother is saying that experience is the best teacher, but you don't always want to learn from experience.
Right.
But people learn from just getting their ass handed to them. And then, oh, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's sad, but I agree with you. It's sad that you have to think about it like that, but sometimes it has to happen that way. And it's unfortunate, a lot of the people who aren't necessarily the ones initially causing it or the one that will be affected, but people will open their eyes. Like I've realized, and since we've been a little bit political here, that people are so selfish and they don't see the benefit of like, listen, if straws matter to me so I can drink my smoothie, why do I care about the fact that it's landing on your beach and your fish, you can't now have more fish because of like, they're so narrow-sighted. But I realized another thing is that my grandmother said, and my grandma is amazing, by the way, but everyone can't be a doctor. Right. So there are people who get it and there are people who don't. And I've come to a point in my life where I'm done trying to make everyone think the same because it's just not going to happen. Right. So just be that change, do the things that you will do, empower your crew. And, you know, it's just a crazy thing. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that we're here. Yeah. But it also is opening some eyes. I think the younger generation is starting to see. And for them, the norm isn't. Because here's the thing. If straws don't exist and my son is coming up, right? In his head, it's like, what's a straw?
Yeah.
Right? But we don't think about it like that because there's still a bunch of old people running things that are trying to do things the way that they used to do it and not realizing that the only constant in this world is change and we're going to move forward, right? Whether you agree with it or not. And unfortunately, you can make it easier or you can make it more difficult. Yeah. But it's really kind of dumb. But anyway.
No, it is. It is. And that's not to take away from anything you said. But that's the second time in 2 episodes you said old and looked at me.
Damn.
So I'm just putting that out there. I'm just putting that out there. No, I'm just but no, it really is unfortunate. I mean, everyone here made some really valid points and some poignant points, and I think it really is up to, you know, the next generation to really decide and say, okay, look, do we really need this? Is this something that we absolutely need in our lives? And if the answer is no, then, you know, we cut it out. And, you know, Autumn, you raised a really good point about plastics, and how, and when they're being used in people's clothes. Right. And I don't think a lot of people even realize that, you know, that what they wear affects it. So, you know, those very valid points with that. We must move on to, looking at your individual work right now. So, farming.
Hi.
So I know you are very active with the Surfers for Gaza in Rockaway. And I know there've been paddle outs and there've been documentaries and money raised. So I'd like to give you this platform now to speak a little bit more about the work that you do with them, how you got started with them, and, you know, what your goal is, or where do you see it going?
Yeah, so I'm part of a collective called Surfers in Solidarity, and it's made up of just a bunch of different surfers in New York that want to raise money for Palestine, that want to lobby, that want to just make a change. And what we've been doing is just trying to like make noise in a different way, you know? Like, I think the beautiful thing about protesting nowadays is that there's no right way or wrong way to do it. Like, you don't expect to see surfers or skateboarders or like rock stars talking about Palestine, and then you get a lot of people saying like, you're not educated in this, so you shouldn't be talking about it. And so it's been cool. We've done a lot of like paddle outs. We had at our last paddle out, Rachel did a custom board that she raffled off. We have some kefias with Septa brand. They are an amazing brand, and pretty much they like work with refugees based in Jordan and hire them to sew kefias and embroider them personally. So they're getting like a wage instead of like just receiving donations here and there. It's a lot more sustainable. And you know, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is like, it just makes sense. Like that's where I gotta start. Like, how can you just not want to support people, like human rights? That's the biggest thing. And I think that's where everybody's kind of at. I am just the organizer. I don't do too much in the organization itself. Like, I hop in and hop out when I'm able to. It's very flexible, but yeah, I just want to make an impact, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I would be really disappointed in myself, and the value of my life would really go down if I wasn't doing these kinds of things. I love surfing. I love traveling, like hanging out with my friends, but all of that is like superficial. It's like, am I going to die if I don't have that? No. Am I going to die if I don't have a roof over my head, if I have bombs dropping on me, if I am being killed, if babies are dying all around me, if I'm losing my family? Yes, that will actually kill me. And I think like the big thing with America is like, we've really lost our sense of reality, and it's not our fault. I think we need to like re-educate ourselves, really like recenter ourselves and learn what matters. And that's what I've been doing with Surfers in Solidarity. I've been working really closely with Zayn. He's my Palestinian homie. I think he's really held me down and kept me like level-headed through all of this, because sometimes you kind of just lose yourself, especially with like social media. Social media is so depressing. It's so, I'm like, when I first started talking about Palestine on my social, like, I was getting cursed out on my comments, in my DMs. It was crazy, to a point where like other people were DMing me being like, don't worry about what that person said. This woman was like, oh, those babies are terrorists. It's their parents' fault that they're being killed. And I was like, who the fuck are you? I'm sorry.
No, please, go ahead.
Stupid bitch. I'm talking to you, okay? You stupid bitch. Like, how dare you talk about babies? Like, they can barely even walk. You know, I have 3 nieces at home that are just like, that, every single day. They can't do anything. They're bumping into walls. And so it is up to us. It's our responsibility to fight for those that can't. Because if we were in their shoes, we would want the exact same thing. We would hope that people are speaking for us. All these Black Lives Matter movements, all these like Me Too movements, we're trying to get masses to fight with us. And so how can we deny that to somebody else that's in the same place as us? Also, it's like, I'm at a point now where like color is, I don't want to say I don't see color, because I hate people that say that, but color is not as important, because it is the poor versus the rich. That is it. And that's what we lost from MLK. People went right back to color. He was talking to all the poor people, and we ended up going right back to Black people, white people, Asians, you know? And so, yeah, I kind of went on a rant. I lost track of your questions a little bit. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's fine.
No. Yeah, I feel you on that. And I always, those conversations are a tough one to have, because there's so, this country and people are more complicated than black and white. We're more complicated. You know what? To quote the donkey from Shrek, what is it, onion? You know, like an onion.
Yeah.
You know, there's layers. But people don't, and they try to simplify something that's so much more complex into like yes or no. Everything is a yes or no. Something is a maybe. Something is a I don't know yet. You know, but when it comes down to it, the one thing that, whether you're a Christian or as human beings, I believe that you're born with this innately. Human and people should matter.
Yeah.
Right? I might hate you, right? But I don't want to see your kids get blown up. I don't want to, and it's not this is a very general comment. It's like when we start devaluing other people, and I'll say that don't deserve it, because there's some like monsters in the world. So don't get me wrong. This isn't a blanket statement. But people, innocent people, it affects me. And that's why this time is like, so I don't even have those conversations with people, because you're not human in my eyes. When you look at someone else, you call yourself a Christian, you call yourself all this, and love isn't like at the apex of your thought process when it comes to to just seeing other people. I don't have to agree with you,
Right.
but why do I have to kill you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's anyway.
I do want to say though, I've learned like a lot of people are just like uneducated,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
they were educated but they learned the wrong things. And so I try not to look at people as like villains anymore, because you just need to learn,
Yeah, yeah,
or you need
yeah.
to unlearn. And that's for all of us. Like to this day, I'm still unlearning things that I thought were
Yeah,
correct and teaching myself. And if you're not doing that right now in this world, like what are you doing? I'm not gonna lie. Like
Yeah.
you need to be learning, you need to be educating yourself, you need to be putting yourself in places where like you can get the actual information,
Yeah.
not like the fake news. Twitter is not like the best place to get your news. Look up ground news, like talk to people, attend events. There's so many like just so many things that you can use, so many resources, and it's really a time to lean into your community. And so to go back to the original question, that's what Surfers in Solidarity is doing. It is grassroots, it's community that is working to uplift community. Community doesn't have to be right next to you. Like, we're surfers. Our community is wherever the coast is. I have family all over the world, people that I'm not even blood related to, you know? And so, yeah.
And I think a lot of times, people tend to fall on one side or identify as one side, and because of that, they've closed out everything else that happens. Whereas, a lot of the folks that I speak with, I'm like, well, listen to Fox News, listen to MSNBC, and then make your decision.
Right.
Go to both sides and get as much
Yeah.
information as you can. Chris Rock had this part of in this one of his stand-up one time, and he said, I am not 100% Republican. I am not 100% Democrat. Anyone who says that, they're a fucking liar. Because there's some things I'm conservative on, and there's some things I'm liberal on.
But you're
on
100%
crime, I'm
human. Like
conservative.
that's the thing.
Exactly.
That's what makes you have that ability to do that. Is that like
Exactly.
we're born with such an intelligent brain that we barely use all of.
Right.
Yeah.
But the one thing is that you can make those decisions of like, hey, I'm conservative in these things. I am a little bit more liberal in these things, and I'm moderate in these things. Like that's being human. Like I don't. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a perfect example. When it comes to surfing when it's in the empty waves, I'm conservative. I want my waves just for me.
Don't we all?
I want my waves just for me. If it's a nice flat day, then yes, I'm extremely liberal. Everyone else, come on and surf. I'm good. I'm good. I'm willing to share everything under the sun when it's flat. So,
It's fly.
that's just the way I look
4
at
feet
it.
at 12 seconds, go surf the other jetty.
4 feet at 12 seconds, I'm conservative. That's just the way I look at it.
Yeah.
No.
Do you have more detailed questions for them? Because I have a bunch of sort of questions.
I do want to add one thing. Like when I started the Surfers in Solidarity stuff, people told me that I would fail. Like I would lose sponsors. I wouldn't get work. I want to say I've done my biggest work till now.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to you again. Whatever you want to say, whatever you want, go crazy. Don't let nobody stop you. Don't be afraid. This is a time to take back your power, So really lean into you. Be true to yourself. Fuck what everybody else thinks.
All right.
Well,
That's it.
Well said.
What's your questions, y'all?
Well said. Well said. Well said. Nigel, you said yes.
Oh no! I mean, because this is such a deep conversation, but we're surfers, so I have certain surf questions.
Well, I wanted to ask Autumn about her work within the wellness community.
Yeah.
So and this part for me at least again is particularly tied in with surfing as well, because I know a lot of times people think surfers are a certain type of person, or they look a certain way, they act a certain way. Whether, again, not to go to conservative or liberal, but sometimes people they run the gamut. People think that either surfers are burnouts who walk around going dude all the time, who can barely string 2 sentences together, to the ones who are the strict corporate. Yes, I'm here to make money and win tournaments, and it's all about money. So the wellness portion of it, I think, gets kind of it gets overdrawn on it. So I know you work a lot within the wellness or aspect of it. So can you talk a little bit about that?
It's so hard for me. I think because surfing for me is a part of it is wellness within itself. And I think my surfing is deeply, deeply intertwined with my relationship with depression, insecurity, anxiousness, all of these different things. And so how I used surfing to kind of as a salve for all of those things, like I guess that's how I can talk about it. It's like I feel like we are all things, right? Like our experience is a reflection of what goes on in the sea, right? And so we talked about, what do you think is going to happen with the straws and the plastic? And I said, the ocean's going to take care of it. And you mentioned but it's just a reaction, right? And so the same way, like I'm in a bad mood, someone talks to me and I have a reaction, like that's what the ocean does, where it's just reflecting. And that just kind of goes back into my journey with surfing and wellness. I go out into the ocean, I'm like after having a panic attack or like I'm in a depressive state. And it's not that I escape from it, but I can see it in a way that I didn't see it on land. And so using the water as a tool for all of that is something that I want to share. And I've want more people to connect to. And that's why I was really excited about epigenetics, especially for the Black community, because I think there's so many of us who are dealing with our internal world in a way that we can't understand or that we don't have the tools to navigate. And the ocean not only can help us with that, but it can help us with the generational trauma that we are holding on to or that we're dealing with that we're not even aware of,
Right.
you know? And so like that's in my world, at least right now, change any second. And like it's our responsibility to understand ourselves in a way that we try to understand anything more so than that. Like we are here to learn lessons, but the more we can understand ourselves, the more empathy we have for ourselves, the more I can understand you, the more open I can be to you, to connect with you. And the ocean does that. We can see it and we can experience it. And so like whether it's Salty Sisters, right? The huge thing about Salty Sisters is like having, it's really connection, right? Because I think we're all disconnected. We don't know how to talk with each other. We don't know how to be vulnerable within ourselves or with each other. And so that's a huge part of Salty Sisters. And then it's the movement part. Do you have access to your body, or are you just living in your head? Do you have access to your heart? Can you actually, like, I have a close friend, he's a conservative. He's a Trump supporter. And I talked to him and I'm like, tell me your thoughts. Because I don't know. Right? But like, we were not created to be closed off to people, to the earth, to the ocean. And like surfing can teach us that, you know? So a huge part of Salty Sisters, right, is like getting connected to the body, getting connected to the mind, getting connected to yourselves and each other. And it's something that we brought in even with La Rubea. We didn't talk about La Rubea, but that is how we got connected, me and Farmi, which I'm so grateful for, because as we've mentioned, like, this is my sister, right? And that's the connection piece, the vulnerability piece, the community piece. It's all a part of wellness, and it's what we're trying to teach, like, the kids of Rockaway, the kids of Brooklyn, the kids of the Bronx, right? Like, come together, use the ocean so that you can elevate and get to know yourself.
I want to add. Like, the whole wellness thing for Salty Sisters is huge in our sisterhood too, because I told somebody this like a day or two ago, like, Autumn changed my life. She completely changed who I am as a person because of her wellness journey. You know, for me, like, I was closed off. I was just living through life. I was like, it be like that sometimes. That was my motto. Like, it's my high school quote. Like, it be like that. That's it. Like, it doesn't matter. And she was like, what do you mean? She'd be like, so how do you feel? And I'm like, it's cool. She's like,
oh, it's cool.
But how do you feel? And I'm like, oh my God. And then I spent 6 weeks with her in Bali, and it was like therapy. It was really fucked up. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know how you did it, because just
I
for
cried
her,
a lot.
She does that to me all the time. How does that make you feel? feel.
We'd be floating, and she's like,
Don't forget the hair thing. The hair thing that she
"Can I
does as
ask
well.
you something?" I'm just like, "No, please don't ask me
I'm trying to
anything."
stay focused.
No,
But she asked me the questions I never asked myself,
Yeah,
or like
sure.
that no one else ever asked me. I never even thought about those
Yeah.
things, or like I like didn't even like allow myself to feel emotions, or like
Yeah.
I realized that I had bad habits connected to my emotions, and all of this is literally because of you. You
that's
know,
really nice.
and so like the surfing part is very like strong in like wellness, but it's the community that you get from it also that has a huge impact on you.
yeah.
So I'll segue that because this is all great, and that's what friends do, right? Like true friends do that. Just in the spirit of that, how did you guys meet?
I don't know. Laura Bea.
So actually, Farmi doesn't remember this. I've been surfing in I had been in Rockaway. My family has been in Rockaway since I was 12, right? So and then surfing since I was 15. So I remember, but like didn't know any surfers outside of the New York Surf School, and so it wasn't yet. So like didn't have access to community, like other than Kwame at a certain age, right? And Nasha, like a community that looked like to us, you know. So I went to the surf shop, and Farmi, I didn't know it was Farmi then. There's this black girl at the surf shop who's like, "Oh my god, I really like your curls." And I grew up I was getting my hair straightened every 2 weeks.
Right.
Like curls only in the summer,
Yeah.
like because I had to surf and I was a competitive swimmer. So when she said that, I was like, "Oh my god,
That's so
a
much.
black girl in a surf shop likes my curls." And then I don't know, she
Did
disappeared,
you
and
say
I
it
met
out,
her
did you
at
say it out
Labassiere.
loud?
I was probably like, "Oh my god, thank you so much."
Because I could honestly see you saying that out
no,
loud.
literally. And I would have been like, "Oh."
I would have scared her. But no, and then we met at La Rubea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember meeting at the beach at La Bea. Like, I remember you walking up to the camp one day with Kwame
Yep.
from New York Surf School.
Yep.
And then I remember you coming to Salty Sisters. But-
Salty Sisters.
I'm so sorry.
A surf competition in Florida that we usually go to.
Yeah, Sisters of the
Sisters
Sea.
of the
Sisters
Sea.
of the
Okay, there you
Sisters
go.
of the Sea.
Man.
Manifest.
Hello, come
Salty
to our
Sisters surf
competition.
2020.
Well, that
You
might-
know, let's not even worry about that.
2027, we could do that.
That might happen in 2025. Let's talk
Yeah,
afterwards.
No, we
it's
got too
not.
much going on.
I can't do that.
But yeah, so La Rubea.
Yeah.
I just remember, but you know what brought me to La Rubea was Gabby, who's a photographer. She worked at the New York Times and the LA Times, and Textured Waves, because they heard about what happened in the water at the jetty with those men.
Oh, wow.
And I'd been talking to them. Gabby called me and we talked about the whole situation. She was just like, "You shouldn't be dealing with this anymore. Like, this is ridiculous." She's like, "There's an organization called La Rubea. You need to."
Oh, wow.
And they were surfing a
A
block
block.
away from my house.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Literally a jetty away. Like,
A
we were
jet-
looking at you and you were looking at us.
Right, but like no idea they existed. And this is
Ever.
what I mean when I say disconnection, right? Like as individuals, but as community. Like that should not have happened.
Yeah, and it's so wild because like everywhere we go, it's like our origin stories are black and white. We were
So
only
different.
a block away in the same neighborhood, and like it's
Yeah.
And
insane.
it's impacted our surf journeys
yeah.
so heavily.
Mhm.
Like the way I feel when I go into the lineup is completely different from the way Farmi feels. And I bring it back, yes, like I've dealt with a lot, like maybe is the othering as I grew up in my neighborhood, right? But it's also those first experiences as a surfer, like compared to yours, I think has had the impact.
Yeah, I remember our first time surfing Pendawa
Yeah.
when we were in Bali. And Autumn was just like, Farmi, like I always surf a new place with a coach.
Yeah,
Like
a guide.
we don't know
A guide.
a guy.
Because it's like safety for me is
Yeah.
huge.
She's like, we don't know what like is there, what the rocks are, how the wave is. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna paddle out now.
She just goes and I'm looking at her, I'm like, this girl is
And I'm like,
dumb.
okay, I'm just gonna go for the wave and look for like boils on the water surface or whatever. And like that ties to Aiden because
Right.
he was the one always telling us like, and it's in that Teen Vogue video. It's like, your wave. You have as much right to these waves as anybody else. Paddle for it. Don't let them drop in on you. These were things that he literally would repeat to us all the time. And that's why, like, I travel anywhere. I'm like, these are my fucking waves.
Right.
I don't care if it's in a different country.
You just reminded me. I like I'm not gonna name any names. This man, he like was like, you use this board, right? And I was like, okay. In Rockaway, the fin was loose, right? And so then the fin was loose. I put it back, and the next day he texts me and he's like, you need to purchase a complete new set of fins.
What?
And I was like, wait, I don't understand. Like, I'm like a teenager, right? And being like, no, it's like this. And he was like, no, da-da-da-da-da. And so these are like, it's small.
That's crazy.
But it builds anxiety. You know, it builds like, oh, and I'm already like this. I need to know everything so that it can be okay. And so that's the difference. Like,
personality.
Yeah, but like those experiences feed into something that was already there. And so I go to these new beaches, I go to these new breaks, and I'm like, nothing can go wrong.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm just like, fuck it.
Yeah, and you're like, let's go.
I'm like, let's wipe out.
But that's what you've done for me, because now I go to a break and I'm like, okay, like we're just gonna go and we'll see. We'll
and now
see
I
how
sit
it
a little
goes.
and I wait. And I'm like, okay, we can watch for a little bit.
But
I
also,
guess.
that's called respect for the locals. I do believe in that. Like, this is their, especially when it's a very local break, give it to them. And so you could show them, like, you know, you're not some Western hippy-dippy crazy person.
No, for sure. Like, always with respect.
Yes,
It's very interesting that you said, because so I'm listening to what both of you are saying now, and Autumn, just from what I know of you and how long I've known you for a while now, and you know, for you to say that you go out there and you know, you in the past you were like, okay, I need to know what's happening, where I'm going, what's doing it. But the thing is, with surfing, you kind of have to let loose.
Yep, exactly.
So you can't hold on to that. So you actually have to let loose. So then you were forced to let it go.
Yeah.
And Farmy, do you remember the first time we met?
No.
No, okay. No, it's fine. I remember because I was coming out of the water and you just like walked out to me and you stood up and you looked at me and you're like, do your thing, black man, and you just kept walking. and you just kept walking.
That
I'm like,
sounds like a Farmy
the hell just happened?
What the hell
just happened? Okay.
Because that's when I was like, I gotta say hi to every black person I see. There's not enough of us. And that was like too many black people. I'm like, I can't say hi to all of you.
It's like, hey, cousin, we go somewhere out of country. She sees a black person. She's like, hey, cousin.
In Bali?
Like,
oh my God, it was great. I'm like, hey, cousin, how you doing?
and some people have good reactions, and some people are like,
looking at me sideways. I'm like, okay, you're not a cousin.
You're not a cousin.
But no, I mean, all I was saying was, like, Farmy, so you are the, let's just go. But also with surfing, you can't just randomly just throw yourself out there, because that's when you end up going over the falls and getting a fin to the head. So again, surfing basically took your weaknesses, and from what I'm hearing, so surfing took your weaknesses and kind of like, you know,
we balance each other
it
out.
Yeah.
For,
you two have been balancing each other out.
In all areas.
Yeah.
So sometimes she'd be like, take up more space. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just like, bro, you're mad annoying right now.
Like, stop being quiet. Like, you know, because I'm a yapper. And Farmy knows this. But so it's like, yeah, or I'm like looking at her like,
yeah, and then there's other times she's just like, I think you need to tone it down.
I will
I'm like, what are you talking about?
I didn't never tell you to tone it down. But I'm like, maybe, how do you think they felt about that?
I'm like, fuck them.
We can tell somebody has a Korean psychology.
No, literally.
So I think we got time for a few more.
Yeah. So this is like a black girl question for sure.
Ooh.
What and this is just something that I'm curious about, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners might be. What is the hair routine situation?
I was hoping you'd bring this up.
What's that? Because just, you know, and black women and black men know this, but the hair is kind of an important thing, like culturally. And salt water and hair isn't necessarily, and black hair isn't necessarily the best of friends, unless you're going for that look. But what's the hair routine like? You know, like, how do you do that? I'm like, I cut my hair down, so I don't have that problem. Oh, really? Look. It's all clean this morning. I did that this morning. You guys saw that. Nice and clean.
I actually changed my hair routine after meeting you. because you told us how you would always condition it after getting out the water, and I was like, oh, that's probably why my hair's so crunchy. And so like I would like always keep it conditioned, and like I would go in the water with it conditioned and oil on top so that it was sealed in. And then at that point I was like, oh my god, look at my hair in the water. My curls would be like popping. Like yes,
The curls are amazing.
or like braids. Like braids are very easy, but like they will break your neck. Like they get so heavy at some point. Or like you go to pop up and you're like, I'm stuck on my hair. I can't get up, you know? So it's just like part of the Black girl struggle. You figure it out as you go. You find what works for you. You find what doesn't.
It's a lot.
Hair isn't like a huge thing for me. Like I went to a shoot the other day and the woman was like, they were going to do whatever to my hair. It was like a makeover. The woman was like, I know, you know, Black hair is very important, very special. And she said that and I was like, damn girl, like I was ready for y'all to cut my hair. I wasn't even thinking about it like that. Like it's just hair.
Not for
me. Yeah. It's different. Well, I've been bald and everything, so like my hair is very like our ties are not that connected.
Yeah, my hair, especially in my family, like hair to women in my family is huge. Like my family, like it's hard. Like with Black community, you don't know, like always know your tie. Black Americans, you don't know exactly where you came from, right? But my grandfather was a Native American, and so like my grandmother had long hair, like all the way down to her back. She didn't know exactly how to do my aunt and my mom's hair, right? Because it was so different, but it was like important that it was long and it was healthy. And so they always said like, our hair is long, and my aunt's like, I cut my hair and it never grew back. And she's like, never cut your hair, never. And so for me, it's like how then I went to high school, middle school in Long Island, straightened my hair every 2 weeks. I got to a point my hair was like a thread, like it looked so damaged, and I poured so much work into just growing back my hair. And so now it's this thing, it's like, I worked for you. I worked hard for you, and I'm going to keep you. So it's deep condition every time you get out of the water. Condition your hair. The lock method, leave in condition. I'm sorry, oil, like seal in the moisture, cut your ends every 6 months. I don't do that, but I should. And don't straighten your hair. Your hair is perfect the way it looks. You don't need to straighten it.
Yeah.
So again, so listeners, so now you understand when Black people are like, don't touch my hair.
Don't touch my hair.
Don't touch my hair. Now you understand why.
Yeah.
We are
Touch
like,
my hair.
don't touch my hair.
Please don't touch
my hair.
I
Well,
work for
that's in the
this.
whole vibes thing. You know, energy. Don't touch my crown.
Yeah.
Don't touch my crown.
All right, cool. So there's a couple more. What are you guys surfing now? What boards are you on? Not brands, but just like what types of boards?
9.6. What kind of tail is that? It's like a pintail.
Okay,
yellow
so
one?
look around it.
I know the one you're talking about.
Is it a
pintail.
pintail?
No,
It's
no.
like a square tail.
No, the new one.
The red one? Girl, you
You
haven't
can say
even wrote
names
it.
of models. I guess fine.
No, but I have another one that they let me use that's similar to that model.
I don't know it.
Yeah, it's like that. It's a pintail, and it's a 9.6.
Okay.
I like the 9.65, 9.296.
Nice.
Okay, longboarder for life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying because I think like actually I like the shorter board. There's this foamy. It's it's a 7.0, and I love the way it feels. And that's not really a short board, but I
that
like
counts.
compared to what I've been writing. But
Yeah.
I like the way it feels, so I'm like, actually, I'm gonna try.
Okay.
So I tried a 6.6, and it's okay.
All right.
I mean, you went out on a big day on a short board and you caught waves.
And I had fun.
yeah, a
So-
win is a win.
I'm not married to it.
But you're open to it. There
I'm
you go.
open to it, but like love the longboard.
Okay. I'm on a 9.6 Lord board. Shout out Lord Boards. That's my sponsor.
Okay.
And I'm all over the place, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know you.
yeah, I
are.
ride everything.
As long
I
as it
have like a
floats.
5.6 Hypto Crypto. My favorite 5.6 Hypto Crypto. My Lord board. I have a 9.3 Grant Noble that I love that a friend has let me borrow for like 2 years now.
It's her board.
Shout out Taylor. And my 7.1 Davy Jones, I believe he's called. Love that board. It's made for Rocky Point. Pintail, single fin, super thin. So good on small days, medium days, like big days, everything. I can duck dive it. 7.1.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy? I can
That's
still
good.
turtle roll it if I need to.
Right.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, cool.
What are
And
you
then-
riding, Nigel?
Yeah.
You know what, man? I'm a creature of habit. I have
The fish?
Yeah, a JS Black Baron, a twin, and I've not really notoriously been a twin guy, but I think for Rockaway, that board has been just the go-to board. It's one board. You know, I've loved it forever. I'll ride different things. I have said this before, and I think if I have the time this year, I really just want a longboard. Like actually learn to longboard well, just because it's challenging. You know, no, it's not. It's not that. It's just a challenge. Like I believe I'm a pretty decent surfer, you know, and obviously you could always get better. But sometimes when it's small, like I'm not like enthused to go out, but I want to go out there. So I'm thinking that learning to longboard would be challenging, but I want to do it well, like not just ride it in the white water and because I could do that.
Yeah.
I want to walk the nose. I want to like prone turn. I want to do all these things that I see people do. That's just like makes longboarding look very sexy. I think longboarding visually for me is like one of the most beautiful things when someone does it well.
It's
You
a
know,
dance.
especially when women do it, but because it's a whole like beauty factor, like just like the silhouette and then the ability. It's like so amazing and so beautiful. And I've been wanting to learn and do it better.
Okay, let's
for a long
longboard
time.
together.
No, I have one and I'm gonna repair. And I think I'm gonna do it. You know.
Nice. I'll give you some lessons. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
no,
it,
listen,
sweetheart.
I'm not mad at it. You know. Any trips you guys are planning soon or something in the future?
We're going to Costa Rica.
We're in
Ooh.
Costa Rica for my birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
For my birthday.
All right.
Nazara.
It's becoming an annual trip. I love Nozara.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm embarrassed to say that, but I do.
Love
love
it.
it.
Guiones is the I love
People
Guiones.
like have like weird vibes about.
So
Really?
I'm one of those
Perception.
people,
Yeah, see,
right?
I
But it's
totally-
not even because of that. It's like the part where I hear Nosara and I think this is yoga, like hippies, a trust
is
fund.
that?
I want to be the, you know, and when I think of surfing, like that's not what I think about.
Right.
Like, but that's just me. Like I want a spot that has variety.
Right.
I want to go surf.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, and if I'm gonna enjoy the culture of a country, that's not what like I want to go in the mountains and go eat. You know, like it's just a personal thing. But having been there and just kind of seen it, like it's cool, like it's beautiful,
Yeah.
right? But I need a little bit more variety, personally.
Yeah. I get
But
it.
that's it. I'm not negative for any reason. It's just if you ask any yoga person, hey, have you been to, sorry, Kwame, this isn't about you specifically, but like, you know, hey, have you been to go? Oh yeah, I've been to Nosara. I've been to
It's the
like,
wellness scene. Yeah, it is the
I have whole
wellness
thoughts
scene.
about that.
The
But-
funny thing is, so I've been to Nosara and Guiones so many times. I have never done yoga there.
Yeah, no, but
Ever.
because you're
I have
going there to
gone.
surf.
I've
yeah,
gone there
yeah.
to surf, but then and I rest my head there.
Mhm.
But then within,
You go.
then I would go somewhere else.
Yeah, same.
I will travel and go somewhere else. Sometimes I would just go up into the mountains.
Yeah. I
Go
like the
ATV
mountains.
into the
Yeah,
mountains,
yeah,
to coffee
yeah.
farms,
I
sit
think it's the
around.
Exactly.
appropriation for me. Like maybe that's what it is. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Do it
that's
all.
a personal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do it all. And I love Nozara, so we're going to Nozara for my birthday.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And they're really
Paris?
cool. What? Oh yeah, I might go to Paris, but that's don't know about
You should
that.
surf France. Like I mean, Paris is great, but
Yeah.
France is amazing.
No, I'm going for Paris for like a weekend trip.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
started
I
this
know it's tough, but
9 to 5, like so I'm like I still want to travel, and I'm not gonna waste time.
I'm sorry. Stop. You're going to Paris for a weekend? You thought I was just going to let that slip in there, right? You're going to Paris for a
I'm a
weekend.
tourist.
Okay. When
No,
I grow up.
I'm not gonna waste time like more than 2 days going to a place I can't surf. So I was like, okay, where do we?
See, I know I liked you for a reason.
So I was like, oh, I'll just go here, and then save the time
Right.
for a surf trip. But you're going to, but I really, really want to do, like you said, surf fest. I want to do a Europe tour.
Yeah,
I really want to do a Europe tour, and then like
Cornwall.
like the west coast of Africa.
Oh
Go
yeah,
all
that's a
up
good
and
one
then
too.
down.
Huh? Yeah.
But
Yeah.
speaking of, you're going.
I'm going to Senegal. It's been 4 years since I've been back and seen my family, so I'm really excited. I can only go for 3 weeks because now I also have a corporate job and I'm in school, so I have very limited vacation days now. So I'm just gonna go, knock it out, surf for a week, visit family for a week, go to a wedding in Gambia for a week, and then I'm right back here.
Nice.
But we're putting in the time so that in 5 years
We can
we're
all go.
free.
Okay, yeah. Okay, got it.
So that we can like have the agency to
Yeah,
go back to
do
doing
that
6-week trips.
Yeah, well, in
Nice.
5 years, we'll just be doing Salty Sisters, hopefully.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly. You know what I mean? Like we're not
It's
going to
in the
be
air.
tied to
Yeah.
like
Manifest it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No, not we'll see. It's happening.
So I know that we're probably wrapping up our time, but I wanted to just personally say a very big thank you to you guys. I know you guys both worked at the shop when Station was around, and I saw that relationship kind of build, and it was just a pleasure for me. Like having you guys on the staff and working at the same time was like it's like hitting the lottery. You know, just the energy was very good, and I very proud and happy for all what you guys are doing. Like I vicariously follow you on social media. I like everything. I make sure you guys are good, and it's I'm very happy about that. And I want you guys to know that you always have someone in your corner, you know, like on this end of the table. I'm sure on that end of the table as well. But yeah, just kind of keep going, man. Like I think we need it. And this is what when I was hoping to have happen when Station kind of opened up, was to create these types of things. And then I wanted to sit in the cut and just watch it like kind of blossom.
Mm-hmm.
So what you guys are doing, what Paul's doing, you know, like that whole crew. And I'm like, because I didn't have those opportunities, right? Like no one said to me, hey, you can do this. It's like, I'm going to figure this out, you know? So seeing people now take it and run with everything and be like, oh, I have the ability to do this, and I can bring this, and I'm bringing people along, because to me, that's what it is all about. It's like when you're too old, not to surf, which that's never going to happen, but when you're sitting back and you're kind of like, you know, families maybe, just careers maybe, whatever it is, looking and go, I had a little part of that. Yeah. Not me, but you guys went out for what you brought. And then hopefully those people will bring. I think that's the future. And I'm super proud of you guys. If I haven't said it yet, but I'm really, really proud of both of you.
Thank you, Nigel.
That's really nice.
Like, shout out to you. Like, working at Station those 2 years, like, did so much for me. From, like, going to trade shows with you, meeting reps, learning how to, like, work in the back end of just, like, surfing. It's not all about, like, going in the water or, like, selling a surfboard. Yeah. There's so much more to it, so many nuances, and you, like, taught us all of that. You taught me how to repair surfboards. You would literally stay after work, you and Paul, just be like, all right, look, do this, mix that. No, you're wasting product. That's way too much. Like, you know, so I wouldn't be here without you. So I'm so grateful for the time you put into us too.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
Yeah. Station is the best surf shop I've worked at. And nothing will compare. The vibes was lit. The music was lit. The customers loved it. Yeah, There's no other place like Station in this world. Yeah.
It's coming back. Don't worry
about
it.
I love that Kwame is speaking about it in the present tense.
No, that's good.
Because it doesn't just go away. Like, you have such a heavy influence in Rockaway. Like, there is no Rockaway without Station Surf Shop.
That's true.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys.
Okay, so I think we're gonna wrap up now.
Oh no. Kwame was over here talking about how Nigerian jollof rice is better than Senegalese rice, and he thought I was going to let that slip.
First of all, I never said it was better. Okay. Go to the tapes. I never said it was better. What I said was we have beef, as much beef as someone who is ITIL and someone who eats meat can have.
There's no beef. You got beef with me.
I don't have any beef with you. You know, you for some reason you have this warped sense of mind, but you do you.
He said warped.
All I'm saying is we are the originators. And so y'all can copy us as much as y'all want.
This isn't going to get solved here.
Extra tomato paste.
I think this calls for a battle.
Oh, right? This is good.
This calls for a
the
battle.
Jollof Wars?
Right. I think we need to have you guys back on. But we need some Jollof rice.
I'm down for this.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. All right? We're going to have the Jollof Wars.
Okay.
Yes.
But we'll put it out to the public, and we'll let 3 people.
Perfect.
Okay, 3 judges.
3 judges come through, and have them judge it.
Okay,
let's
go. I'm down.
When is our next meetup? Is it the 16th?
Yes.
16th of February.
Next weekend.
I'm like, I gotta live, people.
16th of February, and then in March, it'll be March 22nd if you want to come out and hang out with us.
So really quickly, as I was wrapping up, I wasn't done with you yet, but as we were wrapping up, where can people find you? How can they connect with you guys?
Yeah, my Instagram is farmy_. You can find me on my page. You can reach out through the Labassiere page. I'm in Rockaway. I'm at QCJC in my avenue. You know, I'm here. Hit me up. Vibes.
Instagram _Autumn Kitchens.
Okay.
And Labassiere, same. Reach out to Labassiere.
All
I'll
right.
probably answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining us and coming out here, and basically coming up. You don't know, but it is early in the morning, so you guys came out here.
Yeah, thank you.
A little earlier than most folks would come on, so I really appreciate it. Also, want to thank WTF Studios for again hosting us. Want to thank our engineer Wolf for actually coming in today, and want to thank our producer Nigel, who's been taking tons of pictures in the background there. So, and finally, last but not least, want to thank you, the viewers and the listeners, because, without you, we wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you so much for listening to us. And I think that's it.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
I made doubles for these folks. So, don't get me started on what Beanie Man had to say about doubles. That's a whole nother West Indian thing. And I'm not going to start a fight with Beanie Man on air.
See,
That's
probably
another thing.
Kwame always got problems with food and somebody else.
The man,
It's a pattern.
the man said he doesn't eat doubles because his dog doesn't eat them, and therefore he doesn't eat them.
Okay, he's the problem.
That's crazy.
No, for sure.
See,
It's him.
that's the thing. That's the thing. All right, but no,
guys.
thank you guys again, and we'll
Thank
see you all
you.
next
Yep,
time.
see you next
Thank
time.
you.